Buddy, I got a story just like that too. I should have. There's a time where I should have went to jail because I was driving drunk and got pulled over and got asked to do a sobriety test. I was cocky and arrogant to the cop. He had all reasons to take me to jail, but instead, he drove me home.
Wasn't the right time. He's impeccable. We don't see it in the moment. We don't even see it until all of a sudden, he really shows it to us, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
He's showing it to me right
yeah,
now.
yeah. If I didn't have purpose in your life, I would have ended it that day. I would have allowed it. You had more purpose. You just didn't know it.
Yeah.
And so that's really, all of a sudden, again, doing trades for kids and everything. I left that program in really good shape, went back to Hastings, became a facility administrator for a very short time before I burned out.
Right.
And again, God wasn't in my focus during that time. I had, ego, easing God out. I had eased him right out, thought that I was doing everything. Yeah. And he did let me crash at that time. I did have a very hard fall with a huge thump.
I think we all need that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
so
not about
much
not taking
valuable
licks.
lessons in the fall and
Yes.
being in the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm in a really hard spot right now, and it sucks. Yeah. It sucks really bad, but I'm becoming so close to God in this season, and am really learning. This morning, Jeremiah said, "Graduation day." That you graduated, brother. It's funny. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're not cutting me off because this is what this is supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not alone.
No, you're not.
I'm not alone, and that's what the devil does, right? He wants to get us separated, pulled away from everybody else, thinking that that we are alone, that we're and we're not. And until people start talking, you don't know somebody until you start talking.
Right.
I mean, we've been around. We haven't had this level. I mean, none of this is on a bio anywhere.
No. But it's, this kind of conversation, I mean, it draws, it draws me. Like, I just love this type of a conversation because all I'm trying to do is be a better person.
Yes, sir.
And most people think that they're on their own. I think I'm the only one going through this.
Yeah.
But I would have had no idea if you wouldn't have told me those things. When we first started, before we started videoing this, I told you let's just have an honest conversation, and we're having it.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you're able to keep up with my squirrel.
Oh yeah, well, buddy, I squirrel all the time.
Yeah, so I mean, but you're seeing it, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, look at you now, dude.
Oh,
look at you now. Look at what you're doing now. I mean, full circle coming now. You have a Construction Academy shirt that you brought to Marion County.
Yeah.
And that's what brought this conversation on because of what people are doing in our community. I want to know about it. I want to be a voice, or let this platform be a voice for whatever it is that somebody is, either trying to do or just wants to get the word out, or just have a conversation, and, what you're doing is, I mean, there's been vocational schools around here, and there's been classes, I mean, there was, not construction classes, but, woodworking, wood shop in high school and stuff, but nothing like what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So tell me a little more about it. I really don't know fully. I mean, you've told me a little about it, but not a lot.
So obviously we know that we have a deficit in trades, and I'm going to go back just a little bit so that I can give you the background of how God gave me this idea.
Right.
Because this is, again, nothing to do with he gave it to me, and you're going to love this. So I was I guess it was right after I decided that I was going full bore into Farentino and Son. My daughter was getting married up in Destin, Florida. I'm on it, brother. You know, I'm saying my prayers, taking my vitamins. I'm almost Hulk Hogan. I'm going out. I'm going for walks every day. I don't know if I want to be Hulk Hogan. I'm thinking about that. But I'm up there, and I get up this particular morning. I'm up every day, typically by 4 a.m., and I have to get out, and I got to just get going because my mind will explode. So I go out for my morning walk, and I'm getting ready to put on my earbuds, and I'm like, God, I need to hear something today that's gonna make a change. Please, just let me hear something today that's gonna make a change. And I pop it in, and then up comes this podcast. And it's out of California, and this guy is the construction genie or the construction guru, something. But he's got a podcast, and he's got a special guest on, and his name's Kevin, and Kevin's a principal up in Sacramento, California. And he was starting a 4-year trade high school up in Sacramento. And they talked about, you know, what the needs were, and, you know, talked about kids that were like me, the kids that fall through the cracks typically. I'm not a kid that fell through the cracks because I had parents that stood up for me.
Right.
But there's kids just like me that fall through the cracks.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And he was talking about those kids. And he was talking about that they didn't learn the way that other kids needed to learn. And that, you know, when a kid couldn't sit down, maybe you ask him to go do a task until he was ready to sit down. That's me, right? Mm-hmm. Until he gets bored with what he's doing, make him bored, and then he'll go do something else, which is typically what you want him to do. But he was just talking about, in general, about how not all kids needed to be sitting in a desk learning, that they needed to be out doing, and that he was creating this construction academy in order to do that. And basically what they were doing was taking it was going to be done in a charter school. And the first year, your freshman year, is a lot about housekeeping and safety, getting your OSHAs, and learning your basic maths and sciences and history and reading and things like that. The curriculum things that you have to get a high school education. And what they did was they just got creative with the curriculum. So, really construction, what's reading? Well, contract writing and reading specifications and reading manufacturer specifications. That's what they were going to start getting the kids to read. Right? And that's part of your writing is writing contracts. The math is the math. That's what our industry is anyways. But what he was finding is that in middle school, kids really wanted to know what they were learning was going to benefit them later on in life.
Yeah.
I saw that in the juvenile justice system as well. My younger kids were a lot more susceptible into accepting ideas and doing a little bit more because when they realized that it tied in to the rest of their life. But the older kids, if they didn't get that in middle school, it's a free-for-all.
Right.
So he was really starting to target middle school kids and started doing STEM competitions with them and things like that to feed them into the school. But that's what the freshman year was, is getting those basics done. Sophomore year, you're going to start learning a little bit more geared towards the trades, but stuff that transfers across all the trades. You get to good look at them. Your junior year at their particular school, Home Depot Foundation was coming in, and if you were in the carpentry, they gave you a carpentry kit. If you were in electric, they gave you an electric kit. Plumber's got a basic kit to do it. You go and your focus junior and senior year was learning that particular trade. Senior year, you're actually OJT. They can go out and they can do a little bit of work on the construction sites. And he had such a buy-in from the construction community and everybody around it that they were actually literally sponsoring kids from their freshman year. They're working with them on capstone projects from their freshman year all the way through, some of these commercial jobs are in the planning phase for quite some time. And these kids got to walk through all that. So that was the basis and structure of his school. And I just thought it was the greatest thing. And I couldn't believe that I was hearing about it. And Sacramento, California. How is California doing this?
And we're not.
And we're not. My God, I live in Ocala. I'm sorry. I live in Ocala, Florida, the hottest place on earth right now.
Yeah.
We've got to have this. So, so that's basically what the idea is getting a 4-year trade high school. It's very hard to convince a school board to do it because they have to educate so many kids.
So the idea is to start a whole nother school?
A whole nother school. A charter school.
Wow.
A charter school. That's what he was doing.
So kind of like MTI?
Almost like MTI. And again, I was gone, not living. I was off doing my juvenile justice stuff when MTI got created and everything, because MTI was also a little bit more like what he was doing. Like, I was shocked to find out that we had MTI here and that we let it get mixed up.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for anybody that's going to hear this, but you're going to hear me say government does not do anything good, and the school board had their hands in it, and it just didn't turn out well.
Right.
You know, budgets and the state's doing this, and now we can't do that. Whatever, it failed. It didn't need to. They lost the partnerships with the construction community just because it wasn't able to operate and function in the way that it should be.
Right.
So we kind of had that here. And then there were certain changes that were made at MTI. So they started having the kids only go to their base school, and then they would bus them over. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, it wasn't like that. They were at that school all day long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was actually whenever... it wasn't when I was in school, but I can't remember when it was. But I remember whenever they started the school, I remember you either went to Vanguard, Forest, Westport, whatever, or you went to MTI.
Yeah.
And I can't remember when that started. Because.
Well, so it was like 25 years ago. I was shocked that this concept had already been here and we let it slip through our fingers.
Right.
And
yeah, I thought MTI started whenever I was in school, because I graduated in 2005. That's when I graduated high school.
I'm not going to say when I graduated.
It's okay, man. It's just a number. It just means you got more experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but again, there were certain factors, because by the time I learned about MTI, that's what the guy who was the director of it, who was on the way out because it was totally dissolving, they were losing like $300,000 a year on the school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so if something's unsustainable, it gets cut. But he was explaining to me that because the kids were being bussed in and only spent a certain amount of time, that was one of the reasons that it had failed. Many reasons, I'm sure. Not everything's on the school board either. I mean, they're held by certain things, and I do have an appreciation for the way their hands get handcuffed sometimes.
Yeah. They're just trying to do their job.
Yeah. And
the government does what government does.
Yeah. I'll say that we did, and last night I was with Jeremiah at the school board, and we had a phenomenal meeting with them yesterday. And so they're trying, but again, there are some constraints that are on them and things like that. So
yeah.
I'm sorry. So MTI was kind of already, laid out and had been done. I got a little bit of information on it. And I realized that we weren't really going to be able to do it through the school board. I had not gotten involved with the Builders Association yet, so I didn't realize what they had already started working on with Lake Weir and the school board to have a construction class. So there was already a construction class out at Lake Weir by the time I got involved, and they were already doing some workforce development on it. So I'm going to back up to where I went to and got the charter school. God, yeah, watch this. A friend of mine, T.C. Matthews, is the executive director of Clear Choice Academies. They are the ones that have Ocala Charter Middle School and Ocala Charter High School.
Okay.
At the time, it was only Ocala Charter Middle. Excuse me. I called her and I said, TC, I got this great idea. I don't know how to do it because it's education and you're education and you can help me do it. And came in, met her at Chelsea Square at Chelsea Coffee, come in, and I had printed everything off that Kevin had given to us from the school in Sacramento of how he did it, right? And I've got this, I mean, it's about that big, right?
Wow.
All right. I bring it in. I got, I'm important. Yeah. Sit down with TC. Big hugs. I've known her since the 6th grade at Blessed Trinity.
Oh, wow.
It's a long time friend. We graduated, so I can't tell you what year because she would kill me. so sorry, you're not going to get that out of me yet. But,
I can take a guess.
Yeah, what you got?
Well, you said you moved here when it was 84, and you were 12 then.
Yeah.
And I'm 39, and I was born in 87. So I add 3 years to that, so 15 years. So I would say you're 53.
I'm 53, exactly. I'll be 54 in July. But I still didn't tell you. The year we graduated. But you'll get it. You're great at math.
Yeah, 14 years behind me. That's what was it, 73?
No, that's the year I was born. The year after I was born, 91.
Yeah, 91.
91.
I was doing the year you were born.
Yeah. No, but again, so lifelong friend. Somebody that I trusted, somebody that's kind of known me.
Yeah.
She saw how many times I was sent to the hall in middle school and high school, and so 6th grade. That's 6 years that we grew up together. So well that she brought what it takes to start a charter school.
Yeah, a lot bigger.
And for effect, she drops it on the table. And she says, this is what you have to do. And she very kindly told me that I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And then she let me know that it was for the charter high school, that they were just getting ready to open, and that my idea was really, really good, but the timing was off.
Right.
Teacher timing's off. And there's no way I could pull all these together. And I said, okay, no, that's good. There's hope, right? And so as that school started to develop and they hired a principal, Elizabeth Brown, from late North. She was actually at Forest when they hired her, but she was out at North Marion. And she's part of the reason that the equine got hooked up with WEC, and they started the equine programs. And she's the main one that kind of made that bridge happen with WEC.
Right.
So I get to go in and explain to her everything that I just told you about the school. And she's like, yeah, all on board. Yeah, we got to get trades to kids. And she says, but there's one caveat. If we were to do this at our school, and I've got a relationship with WEC, what if they were equine trades? And I think about it for a second. And I'm like, that's not what I wanted.
No.
I wanted construction trades.
Yeah.
I wanted carpenters. I wanted electricians. I wanted plumbers. I wanted HVAC, concrete, mason, landscape. And I looked at her and I said, absolutely. We can do equine, because I'm also smart enough to know there's plumbers, there's electricians, we are equine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're building the barns.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Our friend Pat Myers, he's wiring the barns, right?
Yeah.
So I immediately say, yeah, sure. Because I know that I'll at least get a couple of my trades through that.
Yeah.
But that willingness, and it didn't come from me. God completely took my ego away at that point, because I don't do good when I don't get my way. And I wasn't getting my way, you know, and I was so gracious, and that's not me. That was something else coming out that day.
Right.
Let me really quick fast forward. From the time TC said no, I wound up getting involved with the Builders Association, found out what they had going on. There's a really good program down in Leesburg going on with the Construction Academy, and Lake County Schools figured it out. Their school board figured it out, and they have a pretty good program going on.
Really?
Yes, sir. To the point that where I'm hearing, I haven't seen it yet, but they've got it in 4 different high schools down there in Lake County now.
Oh, wow.
But it's not what we're talking about with the charter school.
It's more like an elective.
It's more like an elective, exactly.
They don't do it all day every day.
They don't do it all day every day. Not the entire curriculum is not developed directly into it. But we have a couple of teachers out at Lake Weir High School, Mr. Scott and Mr. Leroy Scott and Mr. Lance Abshner. I'm saying your name wrong, Lance. I'm sorry. But Abshire, there it is.
I've heard that name, Mr. Abshire.
Yep. So they're the construction teachers down there. They're really trying hard, and especially with what they've got. And so we've been, as a building industry association, and with Denise Alexander down there, kind of making sure that we're very supportive of the of that program. We started seeing some success and some good momentum. And, I stuck with it because it's so easy for somebody who squirrels to find a new toy to go play with.
Yeah.
Right? No, I'm not giving up on this toy.
Yeah.
It's not a toy. But
I know what you mean.
Yeah. No,
I do the same thing.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm not giving up on it. Well, TC's watching, seeing the things that are going on and things like that. So she's seeing it and just kind of keeping that light tab on me. But again, God just jumps right in, and wild how he works. Can't even begin to tell you. There's 2 students at Ocala Charter High School, and they're excelling in their academics, and they could possibly go off to college. But it's just not in their family's means for that to happen, and they can't afford for the boys to leave.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Whatever their situation is, mom came in and said, "You're filling my boys full of things that aren't going to happen. You need to, not do that anymore. They've got to go to work," basically saying to them, if you want to help my boys, get them something that's going to help them in life. And it's not college.
Yeah.
Get them to work. So Mrs. Brown, or the counselor, got that, gave it to Mrs. Brown. Mrs. Brown went to Mrs. Matthews and said, "Let's go ahead and reach out to Mr. Farentino and let's see what we can do." And here we are.
That's cool.
So, so everything like right up to this point, God has been doing, and I had no idea that he was doing it. I met TC in the 6th grade.
And now here you are in your 50s.
In my 50s, doing this, with a dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
My wife, on a whole separate wife, met TC.
Wow.
In a mother's group with her kids, with her, she was a stay-at-home mom, and they were in a group together. So when my wife and I got together again, TC watching from afar, was like these 2 were meant to be together. And she was one of our biggest cheerleaders, saying, "You guys have found the right, your person," and
God's connecting the dots.
God's connecting the dots, right? Yeah. So, so I get, what's the word that I'm looking for? Should have done this sooner, right? And TC looks dead across, and this was about 3 meetings ago, and she says, "I wasn't ready."
Right.
You could have been ready. I wasn't.
Yeah.
So again, my timing and God's timing are totally different.
Yeah, I'm learning all about my timing and God's timing. You try to do things in your timing, buddy, it ends up falling, crashing and burning. You got to slow down and listen to him.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'll tell you to speed up.
Oh yeah.
And then when he does, you better get on it. But there's, he's usually a lot slower than what you think he is.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you.
There's so many kids that, like, the workforce coming up is pitiful.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do, and without men like us, to teach, to, help the next generation. That's not even like me, just like, men like you. There's not many people out there that are willing to take the time and put the effort in that you are. I try to teach my employees, not to just benefit myself and my business, but to benefit them. There's a lot of people in this world that are going to, most of our population is going to work with their hands, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing.
You know, honestly, it should be applauded, you know,
Yes.
because those are the people that build our communities, build our houses, that repair them, you know, and even, you know, doctors, you know, everybody has their place.
Yes.
Everybody has their purpose. Everybody has their God-given talents and gifts, and they should embrace them and run with them 1,000%. So having other people that are willing to take their time to slow down, to teach, to coach, to direct, it's imperative, you know, and especially doing it for no cost, you know, not making any money, doing it just for the genuine love of their heart. You know, whenever I teach the guys that work for me, you know, I'm giving them a living, you know, and not just a living, but saving them money as well. You know, they can go to their house, they can fix their door or, you know, their sink or whatever, you know, they don't have to call a company to take care of it. You know, if you can't fix it yourself, you better be earning enough money to hire somebody that can. So that's, you know, the doctors are, you know, saving lives, so they should get paid a lot of money. And, you know, but then they got to pay us to come fix their stuff.
Yep.
Buddy, I mean, your whole story is...
Can I give you one more?
Oh, yeah, please.
You know, I almost died.
No.
Okay. So 2023, I started having some kind of lower chest pain. Went to the emergency room. So first off, for me to go into an emergency room was an act of God. Went in there and they came back and they said, your pancreas is inflamed, your spleen's inflamed, you've got gallstones. We're recommending that we take out your gallbladder. It's a standard procedure. You know, no bubbles, no troubles. Typically, we even do it on an outpatient, but you've got some things going on. My sister was very ill. Just throw this really quick in. My sister was very ill. She had leukemia, and she made a decision at one point to have her spleen taken out. That was a very bad thing because your spleen is what gives you your antibodies and helps protect you. So I'm very protective of my spleen. So I tell the doctors, you know, my spleen's enlarged, you know, whatever you do, don't mess with my spleen. So what does he do? He nicks my spleen. Cauterizes it. I wake up. They tell me, yeah, these things happen, blah, blah, blah. We took care of it. You're okay. Boy, your spleen's big. I'm like, I know.
Try to
tell you. So I go home. Well, I'm a pretty quick healer, and I start getting some bruising. I'm not bouncing back at all. My wife's starting to freak out a little bit. She calls the surgeon, and he's like, no, bruising's expected. She says, can I send you pictures? And no, he's fine. And she's like, no, I'm telling you, this is not my husband. He's not fine. He was very flippant with her. So about another 24 hours goes by. It gets worse. I'm getting worse. I'm almost ready to go back to the hospital myself. And I'm still fighting. And she takes some pictures, sends them to my daughter, who's a nurse. And my daughter says, put my father on the phone. You're getting into the car right now. You're going to the hospital. You're not going to give Shauna a hard time about nothing. She says, this is not right. She goes, you are extremely sick, and you have to get to the hospital now. Yes, dear. Yes, honey. I'm going, no, you're not hearing me. So go to the hospital. They wind up finding out my white blood counts through the roof. They keep me in the hospital 7 days, pump me full of antibiotics, get all that stuff looking good, release me to go home. Next day, I go to my doctor for a follow-up. She does a blood test. I'm almost back at that elevated level after 24 hours on my white blood cells.
Oh, wow.
She's like, you've got infection again, and you need to go to the hospital today or tomorrow. She says, do not delay on this. So I was like, well, let's just go now. If the emergency room's packed, I'll go later. Show up, it's empty. They bring me in, and now they're like, oh, well, you're back for this again. And they send me through a bunch of stuff, find out that my bowel got nicked.
Oh, wow.
So for, at this point, 3 weeks, I had been leaking.
Yeah, you were septic.
I was septic. I went septic 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Most people don't come out of sepsis.
No, my brother was like that and almost died.
Yeah, it's very, very dangerous, and I battled with it 3 times. So they've wound up finding out what it was, but they didn't really have a treatment for it. I have a phenomenal doctor, Dr. Ang. He's the head trauma guy up there at HCA, and he just didn't give up. And he's on the phone with doctors up in New England and Tulane, I think it was, and they come up with like a dialysis for me. Okay, so I'm going to stop that right there really quick and say I was in a coma for 30 days.
Wow.
So for 30 days, I was knocked out while they were having to do, I went through 12 different surgeries in those 30 days.
Wow.
I went in on a Tuesday night and I woke up on a Wednesday morning, but it was just like 3-4 weeks later.
Wow.
So this is really, really crazy. So people will say, what'd you hear while you were in there? Right? Do you hear anything when you're in a coma? No, you're in a coma.
Yeah. You wake up. And
you wake up and it's not the next day, right? But I did have 3 things happen, 2 very distinct dreams. One was, or 2 of them repeated. So it was me in some dirty, murky water, have like strands of seaweed coming all over my body. I'm trying just to float because you can't really swim in it. You know, at the Silver River in Ocklawaha, you got that defined, right? I can see that, right? I can see the clean water.
Oh, okay.
I can see a beautiful bank full of water and some construction going on in the background with a crane with a light. We don't talk about that light because I wasn't going near that shore. I didn't want to go, right? So, but I'm battling and I'm fighting and I'm trying to get the seaweed off of me, and I always wind up on this dirty, nasty shore. Or not always, but in this dream. And then the second time it happens, and very quickly I realize I'm in a dream. I've already done this dream before. I'm going over there.
Yeah.
And then my next thing that I remember is I'm standing over my body and I'm looking down at myself, and I'm just it's an out of body experience. And I say,
Do you have one of those?
Yeah, I had one of those.
Oh, cool.
I had God, Jesus. I had a being next to me. It was God, because I said, God, did I really need to go through this? Yes. Remember how loud I said he was when he wouldn't give up and wouldn't let me give up?
Yeah, and you're driving home.
On my drive home?
Yeah.
As loud as that, yes, and I woke up. That's the last thing that I remember before I felt my hand being squeezed and somebody saying, we love you, you're doing good, you're coming back to us. My God, you've been so strong. My God, you've been so strong. We were so scared. We were so worried. And somebody talked me out of my coma, and they kept saying those words to me, and I opened my eyes and I looked over, and it was my soon-to-be niece, Skylar. And she's a trauma nurse up in Jacksonville. So I woke up to somebody that wasn't supposed to be in the room.
Oh, wow.
So I immediately knew that something was wrong, because she shouldn't be there the next day. So I tell you this story because he's never given up on me.
No.
He's never given up on me, and I have such a relationship with him that I got the opportunity a couple of times, this time to be next to him when I heard him.
Wow.
And I got up, and for 30 days, other people took over my business. Other people ran my business. They did a good job at it,
Praise God.
And I learned that I didn't have to be the business anymore, that I could count on other people. My thick-headedness would have kept running me right into the ground. So back when you were just saying, he'll speed us up and slow us down, speed us up and slow us down as he needs us to be.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes my wife will be like, do you want him to put you back in the hospital? I'm like, no, baby. He's given me everything that I need to do this mission, and I'm on it. And he blessed me with my wife. I'm just so grateful. When we met, it was a year. Well, geez, I'm so sorry.
No, man.
My wife's 6 years younger than me, and she grew up in my neighborhood, and she was a friend of my sister's. But I would have been graduating from high school, so I really don't even remember her. I remember the family at the end of the street that was living there, but I don't necessarily remember Shauna. And she was a friend of my sister's. When my mom met her as an adult, my mom goes, "You used to come to the house and play with my daughter." My mom recognized her immediately.
So weird, because me and my wife. So my wife was the bat girl.
Okay.
So my father-in-law was my baseball coach when I was a kid, and I went to school with both of her brothers. We grew up around one another, but I never knew her.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Is that how long before you guys got together? I mean, before you connected and then realized that there was that connection.
I met her when I was 21 and she was 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we started dating, soon after. I mean, we got married. I mean, we didn't get married immediately, but we had our son. She was pregnant with our first son, with our only son, a few months after. Had him, in 2010, and we ended up getting married in 2015.
Okay.
We've been together now for 17 years.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
She's my partner.
Well, and he gave her to you. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And you to her.
Buddy, there's so many times I wanted to leave. Me and her fighting, and I mean her too. So many times she wanted to leave.
Yeah.
But my relationship with her is so much. I mean, I told her the other day that I love her more now than I've ever loved her. And we've gone through so much together. We've grown together. We are there for one another. Neither one of us are perfect.
Yeah.
But we understand that now. Exactly. And the only way we've understood that and have come through all of it is God. Yes. Is Jesus being there with us through everything. It wasn't until we found Christ, until we started really understanding each other.
Yeah.
And just how we work with one another. I love her.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So I didn't want a wife. And I'm so selfish. I didn't want a wife. I did not want a wife. I did not want a wife. My cousin, I went to see my cousin down in, and this was not too, before she and I kind of re-met, and there's some things that we can't talk about on this podcast. But
says who?
So, my wife was married, and it was an adulterous situation. So she was married to somebody else when we got together. Yeah. My dad had died. I was in a very deep depression. Dunkin' Donuts was selling, and I wasn't going to have a job anymore. I wasn't going to go back into construction. So like I said, I wound up laying pavers. I was not in a good place. I was literally waiting to die.
Yeah.
Waiting to go see my dad and my sister again. They've been gone now for about a year. And literally it was get up, go to work, get through the workday, come home, sit on the couch, watch the stupid TV, bang back a couple of drinks, and just, I wasn't suicidal or anything like that, but just...
I've been there.
Just that was that. Yeah. And then Shauna and I, through some mutual friends, got reacquainted, and then really got reacquainted. And so stuff that you got to work through because it's not very godly, people gasp sometimes when they hear, but I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be. And
but who's going to follow a man that's been squeaky clean his whole life and says he knows Christ? Right. People, you're a testimony. I'm a testimony.
Yes.
What God's done for us and done through us and in us is the testimony, and He deserves all the glory. We Absolutely. Did not do any of it. I mean, we've been here. We've picked the shovels up, but He's moved the mountain.
Exactly.
And
Amen.
That's I've always said that if God has made me the martyr, then I'll be hold me up high.
Yeah.
You know, if I've got to go through the fire every day, I'll go through the fire. That's what I really, really got to do,
Yeah.
you know, just for his glory.
Yeah.
And that's what all this stuff is about, is
It's amazing. Right?
spread his word.
And we weren't meant to be alone, right? I mean, that was my mindset. You know, I didn't want to have to care about anybody else. And I went and visited my cousin and his wife in Orlando. They're from Ohio, and they were down on vacation. And I went and saw them, and, you know, we're hanging out by the pool. And they're like, we're going to pray for a wife for you. And I laughed, and I told them, no, don't.
Yeah, I don't want
No, I don't want one. No. And she's like, no. Man wasn't meant to be alone. And she started quoting scripture and everything. And I'm just like, but I already had my chance at that.
Yeah.
I already had my chance at that. And then Shauna came into my life very soon after that. And then, you know, we decided that we were going to get married. And then we went to a church, and we went through marriage counseling before we got married. And we invited Jesus into our marriage.
Yeah.
And we said that we wanted to be a God-centered marriage because it wasn't God-centered in her previous marriage, mine previous. So we're going to try something a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
So that we went through all that. We get married, and very, very happy. Just kind of going on around life. But she saved my life. You know, I wasn't suicidal, but I wasn't living.
Yeah.
She came in, I started living again.
Right.
And even though the circumstances weren't that great, my mom wasn't too happy with the decisions that I was making, but she really liked Shauna. Yeah. You know, and my mom one day, you know, pulled Shauna aside and said, thank you for giving me my son back.
Yeah.
She says, and I'm oblivious to my level of depression. You know, and my mom's seen it. And you know, so it was really, you know, really all of that, having a Christ-centered marriage, and you know, that's what we said we had. Right. And a couple years go by, and you leave a little bit more of Christ out, and you ease a little bit more ego in, and we got into a conversation one day, and somebody was commenting about how great our marriage was. And Shauna was like, yeah, well, that's because we're Christ-centered. And I was like, that didn't sit right with me. We weren't really giving the glory where the glory needed to be given at that point in time. And so I just kind of felt called out by her telling somebody else that. And I was like, oh, no, we need to be Christ-centered.
Yeah.
So we did a marriage retreat this year. We took 4 days off and went somewhere where you couldn't reach me by phone, anything like that. And we just did a marriage retreat out of a book called I Will.
Okay.
And we just sat down and talked about what are our goals, you know, what are our goals for us spiritually, individually, together. What do we want it to look like for our kids? And so it's a vision retreat is what we called it.
That's cool.
And we're getting ready to go off. It's been 6 months since we did that. So we're going to go off and see where we're at, you know, almost like a business.
Yeah.
You know, you better check in, because sometimes you think that job's going good and
it's not.
You know, so we want to check in to make sure that everything's going good. And
well, relationships work, you know, whether it's a marriage or it's a friendship or it's a business relationship, it takes work.
It takes work.
Yeah.
It's solid work. One of my favorite words to use. You got to put in the work.
Yeah.
Every bit of it's about putting in the work. And I just really wanted to share that because, you know, I'm kind of the face of some things. And I'm not the one that's doing it all. You know, I've got her as my support team.
Right.
And, you know, when I almost died, nobody stood up for me in that hospital room like my wife.
Yeah.
Nobody did. If it would have been up to, you know, I'm here today twice. I'm here today twice. Once because she brought me back to life, and once because she wouldn't let me leave.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's that old saying that behind every great man is an amazing woman, but I don't agree with that. I agree that my amazing wife that makes me great is beside me.
Yeah.
You know, we are one.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do this life without her. You know, it takes a team.
Yeah.
Well, brother, you have an amazing story.
Thank
you.
you.
It is really cool.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, because God's so good, man.
He is. Amen.
I mean, there's just so much that, just like the Bible, when you read the Bible, everything's one red line. And sometimes I get to sit back and I get to see his work. And it's like standing in the mountains. From Florida, mountains are beautiful. Standing there on that mountain looking out going, wow, only one could have created all this.
Amen.
And we've got a God of wow.
Yes, sir, we do.
So
we do.
And all over the place. I can give you that line. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, this is the first podcast that I've had a bunch of questions, and I didn't ask any of them.
I'm sorry.
No, you answered all of them, honestly. So there's no point. There's one thing I just want to finish to close this thing up. If there's somebody out there, young man or woman that's trying to get into this industry, or just trying to do better in life, what was something that just a quick saying or quote that maybe could help them out?
I'm a big dreamer. Dream and go to work and make it happen.
That's good.
Look in the Bible. The word work is in there all over the place.
Amen.
And dream and go to work and make it happen.
Amen. That's good.
That's it. That's what I got.
That's good.
Thank you.
Well, man, thank you for coming on here. If you wouldn't mind, tell the guests, people that are watching, just where they could reach you at. You do do additions, you do remodels.
We do additions, remodel, new homes, light commercial type stuff. Farentino and Son, FarentinoandSon.com, FERRENTINO.com. Fourth generation builder. I didn't even talk about my mom. She's amazing. She's the first woman in Marion County to get her builder's license.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Well, we can make that round.
Yeah, we made that round too. But Farentino and Son. Barbara's the Farentino and I'm the son. And man, thank God for giving me this life.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
So.
Well, guys, you heard him. Guys, gals, you heard him. He's a fellow contractor here in Marion County and Ocala. He does great work. We compete against each other all the time, and I'm honored to lose work to him because I know that he will take care of the customers just like I will. So. If you liked what you saw, hit that like button and come check us out again. And if you want to get to know Cicc a little bit more, you know where to look him up. So thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.